Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Black Moon Lilith square opposition or inconjunct one's natal moon. Now, when you have transits that involve the Black Moon Lilith, it can be about trauma, suffering. Um, it's a negative manifestation of the sign, nefarious energy, and also fixation. And when you have transit Black Moon Lilith, basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal moon, I'm going to elaborate on that. When I say basically adverse aspect, okay, squares and oppositions, those aspects are negative and adverse in astrology. Now, the inconjunct aspect is neutral, but a neutral aspect can have good and bad qualities, and coupled with the fact that an inconjunct can often require an adjustment or transition, and that in turn can cause some exasperation and tension. So basically, collectively, I do see this as an adverse transit. Now again, when transit Black Moon Lilith is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal moon, well, it may manifest in trauma, suffering, the negative energy, negative manifestation of the sign, nefarious energy, and fixation and obsession. These things may conflict with your emotional needs. You may even be overly, you could be overly obsessed and fixated with your emotional needs, or it might be if you're dealing with some nefarious energy in your life, it doesn't necessarily mean it's coming from you. It could be somebody in some sector of your life, depending on the house that it's in. It may be something that is conflicting with you, with your, as far as what you feel are your emotional needs. I mean, if the moon is in, if it's in Aquarius, say, it could be something with astronomy or astrology or computers or electronics. It might be something where you feel your own safety and security might feel threatened at this time due to it. If there's something where you're dealing with some stalker, say if this is the transit Black Moon Lilith is in say if you have it in Scorpio in the 8th house, maybe there's some stalker in that's basically what you may perceive as a hidden enemy or hidden adversary, and it might be again threatening what you feel is your emotional security, what you feel is your safety and security at this time. Now, the moon is also about our reactions, our responses to things. So at this time, if you're dealing with it could be very negative energy, it could simply be, well, it might be a very formidable adversary. It could be something where maybe there's more difficulty in reacting and responding to it this time, more so than you ordinarily would. You might be doing, what you may be doing is procrastinating on it, or you try to figure out how you're going to deal with this situation. Say if you have the transit Black Moon Lilith in Libra and or the 7th house, it could be a legal opponent. It might be something over a lawsuit. This is, if you have the transit Black Moon Lilith in the 4th house, it could be some home or family member. Say if it's in Leo in the 4th house, as an example, could be very domineering, arrogant, bombastic, family member or someone you're close to home with, or somebody just prominent in your home life. Another thing too is that the moon, of course, is about our emotions, and the thing is, it can be something where there may be some obsession or fixation with your own emotions. If you have them, say the natal moon at Scorpio, maybe there's some overwhelming need to control even more so than usual. Or it can be a situation where, if you're dealing with some trauma, whether it's physical or emotional, it could be something where you might overreact emotionally to it at this time. You might not be dealing with it as well on an emotional level, more so than usual. And the thing about this is the Black Moon Lilith is also connected with people that play a provocative role in our lives, figure prominently in our life scheme. And the thing about it is that since the moon is about our feelings and our emotions, it might be harder, more difficult to express those with those people at this time, to actually be able to express emotional energy with them. And It might be or how you feel about them, whether it's good or bad. Now, the moon is also connected with the mother, and it's something too where maybe you're overly obsessed or fixated on activities with your mother at this time. It might be something to where if you're dealing with any kind of negative energy uh, at this time, or there's some trauma, there's something nefarious in your life that you're having to contend with. It might conflict with just with activities in general with your mother, and that would also apply to your home and family members at this time. It might be something too. I mean, the Black Moon Lilith is also connected with death, and the thing is, if you are dealing, with some death, whether it's something, well in the past, or it's something that's happened recently, that could also conflict with activities with the mother, with the home, the family in general at this time. It could be doing things, in the home, trying to, if you're making a renovation, say if you have the transit, say you have your natal moon Scorpio in the fourth house, it could be a transformation or some renovation of the home at this time, and may be more difficult to do if you are dealing with some death. It could be a situation too where you might even be dealing with negative energy of the sign itself, but it may be impacting you personally, and that could be adversely affecting those activities with those people. If you have, say, if the transit Black Moon Lilith is in, say if it's in Gemini, it could be something where you're just very vacillating or back and forth, or you're very restless and you're having a hard time maybe sitting still to do one project at a time. Or there could be a situation where you're just it might be just acting very contradictory, and it's causing you to feel one way one moment, feel one way the next, and then it's making it difficult to stay with something that could be home or family related at this time. It could be situation too. I mean, the moon is also connected with prominent women in our life scheme, and it may be a time where you might be overly obsessed or fixated with these people at this time, or maybe these people are acting more jealous, excessively jealous, or you might even be expressing more jealousy with these people more so than usual. If it's a wife, or it's some say it's a significant other, especially, I would say. And also, anatomically speaking, the moon is connected to the chest, the breast, the stomach, the ribs, and water retention. So at this time, it may be a situation, if you're dealing with some other trauma, say if there's some other physical related trauma that you're having to cope and contend with, it might be harder to deal with issues if you're dealing with something physically connected with the moon. And in some cases, there's something that could be exacerbating one condition might exacerbate another, if that is possible, or at the very least it might make it harder to cope and deal with the other issues. Say, I mean, if you have some issue with the feet, for example, or it might be something where say the transit Black Moon Lilith is in Pisces, and you're having some very strong pain with the feet or the toes. It might make it where you're feeling it might somehow in your mind exacerbate the issues that are anatomically connected with the moon, and might make it seem worse, or at least harder to deal with those problems, because you already have one pain and then you have to deal with some other trauma. So anyway, now another thing too is that the moon is also about our unconscious, and the thing is, unconscious is something where you might be expressing if there's some issue you're going on or there's some trauma, whether it's physical or emotional. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back, but anyway. If you're dealing with some kind of trauma or suffering on some level, or you're dealing with some evil or nefarious energy somewhere in your life, it may be bringing out the negative qualities of your natal moon placement. You might be unconsciously expressed. If the natal moon is in Aquarius, it could be some very strong, rebellious or non-conforming, even very unpredictable, erratic behavior, as an example. Now, another way this transit may manifest, well, first of all, the moon is also connected with the public, so it can be something where if you're doing something that's public related or public work, it might be if you're dealing with trauma, physical or emotional level, or there's something with a negative expression of the sign, might be doing something where it's causing you to have difficulty in going out, publicly, with, just doing, especially if your work is involved with the public at this time. If you're some salesperson, as an example, it can make it more difficult naturally. So anyway, now again, another way that this transit may manifest, it could be where you may be overly fixated or obsessed with your emotional needs. Say, for example, if the natal moon is in Gemini, it could be mental stimulation, or even vicariously, maybe even living through other people's experiences. It could be superficial loves, as some examples. Also, too, there may be more difficulty to keep what you want suppressed, which is the Black Moon Lilith, from your family at this time. The family, of course, is associated with the moon. Let's say, for example, if the transit Black Moon Lilith is in Taurus in the 8th house, it could be perhaps not fulfilling, financial, which is Taurus, a financial or monetary promise on a loan, and loans can be connected with the 8th house. Also, too, trauma, which is the Black Moon Lilith, may adversely affect things that you feel, which is the moon you feel like doing. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal moon is in Cancer, in the in the 3rd house, it could be doing something just simply nostalgic, or doing something with cooking, or playing family games, which is, families connected with the zodiac sign Cancer. And again, it could be with siblings, cousins, or neighbors, which is associated with the 3rd house. Now, people prominent in your life, which is the Black Moon Lilith, people that may play a provocative or prominent role in your life, Black Moon Lilith, they conflict with really your unconscious side at this time, and the things that you may, or just simply the things that you may need, or the things again that you might, energy that you may be expressing unconsciously, that you might, that you're strongly connected with. Now, let's say if the moon is in natal moon is in Pisces, it could be, the dreamy, unrealistic, idealistic, reclusive side. Maybe you just want, solitude and seclusion. You might not be always consciously aware of it, since it would be the moon, but it can be where these people are maybe interrupting, your own dream, your dream world at this time, because moon in Pisces can be dreamy, of course, but not always consciously aware of it or cognizant of it. Again, we're talking about the moon, which is the unconscious. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard says, stay well.